Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. I hope you find you well out there. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, welcome to the I Don't Know show as Donald Trump addressed the nation yesterday. Not really what anyone thought, was it? Right? Did say, gave the reasons for the actions on Iran and said, nobody wanted to do it, so I had to do it. And listen, I don't know. I don't know that it matters because we've done it. But I think people were expecting more in the way of negotiation, which kind of looks like there really wasn't that much. Maybe, less than what we were led to believe. Donald Trump just did say 2 to 3 more weeks, which obviously, as I've told you guys, every day now, just, it's a problem, right? Shortage. And then said, essentially, if Iran doesn't have the Strait of Hormuz open by the time that they're done, so we have 2 to 3 more weeks of hitting, I guess, military-adjacent targets, for lack of a better word. Today, there was a bridge taken out. Big problem, right? Because Iran has been responding, as we know, like this tit for tat. Matter of fact, aluminum, get ready. The damage to the aluminum sector as Iran has been hitting out is completely halted now. The UAE halting all operations at its smelter. So another spike in shortages. But the gist of it was we're going to hit things that hurt more and more economically, versus militarily. And if they don't open it, by the time, whenever that's done, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if the strait isn't open, then they're going to blow up all the power plants. And then I think, now I don't know, this is what I think, and then we're going to take our ball and go home, right? And all the other countries can worry about opening up the Strait of Hormuz. That was kind of, I think, anyway, pretty close to what the sentiment was this morning. And rolling in, at one point, NYMEX crude oil was up $13. You heard me right, at $113. Right now, it is up about $9 at $109. And the reason being is there's a report out that Iran is working with Oman to coordinate the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, but they got to throw a but in there. But Iran is saying, "Hey, this is after the hostilities end." So maybe the bright spot is if we go home, Iran will open up the strait, and I think everyone kind of thinks they'll open it up with you got to pay a fee. But the highest bridge in Iran was taken out this morning. Iran has threatened the port of Haifa in response to it, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But there is at least some type of drafting of a protocol for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, but peaceful conditions have to be met first. So, I don't know. here you go. The wild swings that I guess move from comment to comment. Now, at one point, the Dow was down 500 points. Right now, it's flat. The S&P and the Nasdaq flat. That's a huge improvement. At one point, gold was down $160. Right now, it's down $80. Silver, probably the best of the metals on that side of it, was down over $5. Now down $2.50. But I don't know. We could have another comment 5 minutes from now, and the whole thing will change again. But not a lot of clarity from the president yesterday. Matter of fact, a lot of angst that this is going to end badly. Or I don't know if badly is the right word, but yeah, badly is. You know what? That is the right word. And then we did, remember, it's still jobs week, so we did get jobless claims. We got job layoffs, jobless claims. Were they banned, right? 210,000. We probably should just say that's the number every week. Challenger Gray and Christmas, the mass layoffs, still a lot, but down from last year. Because remember, the government was laying off a lot of people last year. But layoff announcements higher in March than February. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. 800-951-0592 as, boy, it's been a wild Thursday already as, again, I think it was a little more, Trump saying he's going to send them back to the Stone Ages and things of that nature yesterday. We'll see, right? We'll see. I don't know what is going to happen just yet. We'll keep our eye on the situation there, but it obviously dictates a lot of what is happening in the marketplace. But if we don't focus in on that, we got jobless claims, nothing there. The no hire, no fire economy is the latest that they said. Blue Owl, remember, Blue Owl started the private credit collapse. 41, I've never seen this before, 41% of the people that have invested in Blue Owl have now requested their money back. Blue Owl obviously said no thanks. Oh, you want your money back? How about no? You're going to have to sit here and take losses. This is, you expect when it's okay, 5%, 10%, 41%. That's insanity. So more problems here. Of course, it's not being talked about because of what is going on in the war. Foreign central banks, and again, everybody needs money. Now, we told you, hey, gold did its job as a tier one asset, liquidity, right? Gold was selling off, silver selling off because they needed money, and it was, gold's still up for the year, right? I mean, that's a big deal. Well, that's not the only thing that they have been selling. And remember, I've been telling you how bad the auctions have been, right? Every day, we've got to sell debt, lots of it. Billions and tens of billions of dollars every day. Yesterday, the Treasury announced that foreign central banks had sold over $90 billion of U.S. Treasuries in the last 5 weeks, with the majority of the selling occurring in the last 3 weeks. So, Jason, this is just another example of where we're at here. A situation where, let's face it, as everybody wants to do the same thing, right? Everybody wants to spend money. The ability for them to do it. Why are these governments selling treasuries? Because they're like, well, gosh, we can't borrow any more money, right? We're already borrowing too much money. We've got to sell something, and what they're choosing to sell obviously makes a lot of sense. U.S. Treasuries, $90 billion, with the vast majority of it just in the last 3 weeks alone. Yeah, he's not there. I don't have him.
Hence, you have a war where you want to move more dollars selling oil than any other currencies, right, Joe? As long as the oil's in dollars. Because everybody's selling this stuff off, so if everything pumping out of the ground that we have to fuel all of our machines and trucks and cars and, as long as everything that's coming out of the ground is in dollars, I think it'll work out, right? I mean, why go after Venezuela and Iran? Well, that's a major oil move, Joe. And that's a major dollar move for oil.
Wow. Bloomberg is reporting that in London, on the London exchanges, diesel fuel hit $200 a barrel as obviously, like I said, we're in a better spot there than they are, in Europe and in Asia. But it is very telling here. I don't know how much longer this goes without something snapping. And here's the thing. A lot of these countries, they're going to have to sell treasuries just to buy energy, right? Just to buy oil, just to buy diesel and jet fuel. A lot of these countries, listen, they've got a budget. And they know it's not like, listen, the one thing the U.S. has always had is, well, we can just borrow more, right? We can borrow more.
Yes.
Most of the other countries in the world, they don't have that option. Listen, we'll let you borrow up to this, and then after that, nah. Unless you want to pay 10, 15, 20%.
It just depends on how much, how large of a payment you can handle. When you can't handle your payments, why are we going to let you borrow and make yourself enriched if you can't make the payments? You figure out how to make the payments back, and we'll let you borrow some more. But, Argentina goes bankrupt every 10 years because they can't make their debt payments to the International Monetary Fund, right, Joe? And, that's the way it works.
This is something where, as of yet, right, the International Monetary Fund doesn't load out money so you can buy fuel, right? You're supposed to, do something like build some type of infrastructure or something like that to get it. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, how long until, more breaking news. Just keeps popping up now. The Trump administration preparing 100% tariffs on pharmaceuticals for certain drugs. Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Nordisk, others. Geez. Looks like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. They're not saying what drugs exactly are going to be tariffed, but that doesn't seem like very good timing. Right?
Wasn't that? That was another one of those Trump promises of the lower medical costs. I guess this one was getting ready to fall as well.
Yeah.
There's some people who are still saying, "Hey, man, he got the the medical charges down. He's got your medicine's cheaper."
He did say inflation was down in his little thing.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, it's down compared to the height of 21 and 22. I mean, I guess it's not a lie, depending on what your format is, right?
Well, and more bad news. U.S. electricity prices are getting ready to rise. God, they don't stop. It's crazy. I don't know about where you guys are at, Jason. Electricity costs here in Arizona have gone through the roof.
Well, I got.
Saying
I'm a little skewed on my situation. I actually went and got solar, and they slapped all kinds of extra panels up there, and so I just pay like the nominal fee. So I guess I'll know it's higher when the end of the year when they do the little calculation and give me a little money back. I'll find out then. That comes in about a month or two.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for bragging.
I'm not bragging. I was testing out the whole solar energy thing and found that it's a complete racket, except for if you can buy it outright. If you can buy it outright, the long-term success of it is there. But otherwise, if you finance it, you might as well just pay the electricity, Joe.
So the residential price has gone from 13 cents a kilowatt hour to 17.3 cents a kilowatt hour.
I'll check it at home. I think it's doing the same thing.
Yeah, and now they're saying 17.3 isn't enough.
I think we have a tiered thing where like there's a rate for the basic usage, and then once you're over a certain amount, you pay like 6 times or 10 times. Like, and nobody could really get under that. So you have a certain amount so if you really, really pinch hard, how about this? If you're in a little 1-bedroom apartment, you don't have the big charge. But once you own a home, there's that second tier where almost every home is going to push past that.
I know. My wife's like, hey, we only do the laundry between this time, and right, Yeah. Yeah,
this tier is on total usage. So once you hit a certain megawatts or whatever of usage above a certain level, then it's a higher charge for everything above that. And like I said, I think anybody in a little 1 or 2 bedroom apartment probably sits under that amount, but anybody owns a home, watch out what you're doing.
Boy, all right. The U.S. Department of Agriculture saying that American farmers are going to plant fewer acres this year than previously expected. Soybean prices have remained elevated. The amount of acreage, 84.7 million acres, well below what Wall Street was expecting. Wheat, less than 44 million acres, also well below. The planning for wheat, corn, and soybeans were about 1 million acres below expectation. So, to me, right, I'm just, I don't know, but supply demand, if you whack the supply, right, chances are, Jason, we're going to see even higher food prices going into harvest season. What is harvest season? August, September, October?
That's, Joe, that last year when we started to see all the spending that was going to hit this year in the beginning of this year. That's why I kept saying I really think the real painful inflation that we're going to, this next hump that we're going to see, I think is going to come a little later this year. And I don't know if that's before the midterms in November, maybe October. How about October? How does October sound for September, October? You get the skyrocketing inflation right before the midterms. It doesn't matter if there's a war, if nobody can buy anything, right?
It is incredibly difficult to figure out what is going to happen here. Obviously, no one expected the energy spike. Well, I should say the gas spike, right? The oil spike. That wasn't in the cards. And Jason and I were telling you, inflation was going the wrong way already. Look at the inflation reports from November, December, January, February, right? They were all going the wrong way.
And that was the goal. That was the goal.
Right. That was the goal. Right. When we had said this was the goal all along. And now you throw in, let's face it, inflation is going to be off the charts for March and April because of gas and oil. The president saying, listen, this thing's going to go on for 2 or 3 more weeks, which in my mind means 3, right? Probably going to go on for another 3 weeks. Well, that puts you through all of April. And the fact that they're now saying that they're going to be hitting what I'll call military adjacent targets, the Iranians have already said if you hit those targets, we're going to start hitting oil and natural gas targets even more. So we could end up, Jason, where this energy spike lasts the whole rest of the year. I mean, I hope it doesn't get to $120, $130, $140, $150 a barrel, but we're probably going to be looking at $90+ oil for a while.
Which I think was the goal when they went into Venezuela and struck a deal with old Maduro. That was the goal.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. Yesterday, we got over 1,000 BU pre-1921 Morgan dollars. You can buy them one at a time. They're $77. I have 147 of them. And these things are beautiful. When you think about Morgan dollars, BUs, you really never used to see them because they'd go grade them. And now with prices being so elevated, they're just doesn't pay. Grading right. I don't even know what. You used to be able to grade a coin for like $5. I think the last I saw was like $20 or $25. So these things are going to be, these are as nice as they can possibly be. Pre-1921s. I've got 147 left. That is it. At $77 a piece.
Just over 7 rolls.
Right? Yeah, that's it. Gosh. I like it better when, 147 sounds better. You don't have to buy them by the roll, right? You can buy them by the each. But, yes, you can buy them by the roll, right? 20 in a roll.
We live in the age where a single silver eagle can cost you about $90. And when I came on, we were selling rolls of silver dimes for, almost 90, 95. I remember the under $100 roll
80,
dimes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
so that's just where we're at. So a single silver coin is becoming more and more important by the day. So if you own rolls of this stuff, congratulations. But if you're wanting rolls of this stuff, better start buying quick.
Yeah, and then how about this one? Now, this one's also very limited. I've got 12, and I actually have these in my vault here in Arizona. I have 12. Mint State 63 $20 St. Gaudens. Yesterday, right, we had $20 Liberties at $49.50. Gold's down 80. I have a $20 Liberty or Saint. Well, might as well say Saints, right? Saints. They're $48.50. Our circulated, ungraded $20 St. Gaudens are $4,850. I've got 12. I don't want to say they're all PCGS. If they're not PCGS, they're NGCs, but I think they're all PCGS. Mint State 63 $20 Saints, $4,825. So $25 less than an ungraded St. Gaudens today at 800-951-0592. So two really good opportunities. One with the BU Morgan dollars, because let's face it, the Morgans, man, they can get pretty nasty. Because a silver dollar in the late 1800s was a lot of money, right? If there had been McDonald's in 1892, you could have took your whole family to McDonald's with a Morgan silver dollar and got change back, right? I mean, that's the kind of buying power it used to have. And it was a very prevalently and heavily used coin. So there's not nearly that many in this type of shape. But to be able to hold this in your hand and at $77, just a great value there. And then, of course, the Saints. I mean, a lot of people think the Saints are the better looking coin versus the Liberty. And remember, Teddy Roosevelt, when he was became president, he was like, the Saint or the Liberty isn't majestic enough. It's not fancy looking enough. America is the power of the world. We need a coin that looks sharp. And that's where they came up with the full-bodied Lady Liberty. Of course, I've told you the story. The artist was a guy named Augustus St. Gaudens. And he actually died right before the coin was going to be released. So he had done the design. They had selected his artwork, and then he passed away, so they named the coin after him. Mint State 63 for less than a circulated St. Gaudens today. 48.25. I've got 12 of those. And then I had 147 of the BU Morgan dollars at $77. And I have 3 lines open. So get in here and get them bought at 800-951-0592 as we, sit here and watch all of this play out. The one thing that is certain when this ends, and like I said, this is going to end. Let's just take Trump at his word. Now, I don't know if that's the best thing to do right now, but 3 weeks. That's kind of what he said, right? 3 weeks, and we're going to blow Iran back into the dark ages, and then we're going to leave. Once we're back focused on the real important data points, here's what we know. Inflation is here and getting worse. Countries are dumping treasuries like they're going out of style because they need the money. At the same time, let's face it, we need $200 billion for the military, right, that we didn't count on. We had the big, beautiful bill that they've got to pay for. Now they're talking about stimulus to help offset inflation. I just saw we had record-shattering people withdrawing money out of their 401ks. And 1 in 4 people with a 401k that are still working have lowered the amount of money that they're putting into their 401k. So it just, again, right, the slow squeeze here and a whole lot of money printing. That is what is going to drive gold and silver in the second half of this year. Jump on these great value today, 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. And right on schedule here, Barclays talking about the U.S. Treasury market, saying that the U.S. Treasury market is structurally unstable. It's crazy the talk that is being used when describing the most important market in the world. This is what, trust me, the bond market's way more important than Wall Street. There's nothing more important. And now you have banks calling it structurally unstable. That is going to require official interventions to support its functioning. What does that mean? It's not enough liquidity, and we're going to have to, whether we call it quantitative easing, call it what you want, there is going to have to be regular official interventions in the U.S. debt market. It has grown so much faster than bank capital creating a gap between the supply and demand for liquidity. Now remember, after the financial crisis, right, that we loaded those banks up and they had all kinds of extra money. Remember the reverse repo facility. Remember how I taught you? Reverse repo, good. Repo facility, bad, right? So we want lots of money in the reverse repo facility, and we don't want the banks to need to use the repo facility, right? So reverse repo good, repo bad. Well, Barclays says there is no money in the reverse repo facility. And a matter of fact, banks are being forced to use the repo facility, which just means the other banks either A, don't want to lend those banks any money, or B, hey, I don't have any money to lend you, right? Yeah, I don't have to go to the facility, but I don't have anything extra to give you even if I wanted to. And they're saying that the underlying force continues driving the fragile market. By the way, when did they say this? That was 2 days ago. 2 days ago. The Treasury market is growing at a rate of almost 10% since 2009. It's just insane. Listen, we're at almost $40 trillion. 10% of $40 trillion. Guess what? That's $4 trillion. By the way, banks, their expansion, less than 4%. Right? And remember, who's got to buy what's all left over? Right? It's in the banks. These increased imbalances, the need for official interventions just to stabilize the markets. It is what they're calling a vicious cycle, with expectations of intervention becoming a self-reinforcing. If they result in greater use of leverage, it actually add more risk to the already fragile market. In other words, what Barclays is saying is everyone knows that we're going to have to do it. We will do it this year, by the way. We're already doing it now, $70 billion a month. They just don't call it quantitative easing. There will be more this year. There will be more. The Fed will be adding to its banking balance sheet because there's not enough buyers. And, of course, Barclays says everyone knows it, which means that the ones that are on the edge are going to take even greater risk just so they can stay in business. And, of course, any shock, and then, Jason, all the dominoes fall.
And then it gets worse, right?
Yeah, right. That's what they're saying. It's like, oh, my God, you have to do it, but by doing it, you're making it even more risky to having all the dominoes fall.
Yeah. I don't know if all the dominoes ever fall. They
don't all fall. There's always somebody standing.
Well, one of these things you hear people say a lot, which is just, I think it shows the limitations of how powerful these financial interests are, is, what happens at the end of this situation? There is no end to it. It's an ongoing, continuous situation, and when things have to be altered, changed, moved, then we go through a cycle. Oh, when is COVID going to end? I don't know. Has COVID really ended, Joe? Every time we have one of these emergencies, does it ever really go away? Has 9/11 really gone away? Don't we still have the scars from that one? Right? How about the housing crash? Oh, I'm sure glad we got through that one. Did we really get through it? Right? It's because there's more wealth being, just concentrated into fewer and fewer hands. Listen, to have a controlled society, the controllers don't want to have 1 million guys to share the space with. They want just 100,000 guys to share the space with. So they're going to squeeze some guys out, right? And at the same time, there's a couple of new talent that'll try to rise up there. A couple of Jeff Bezoses and Elon Musks and Zuckerberg, which are usually hand chosen. And then they find even more efficient ways to lower the standard of living and make people buy it and think that it's normal, right, Joe? Don't think. We will think for you. Stop thinking.
You don't have to think.
We will think for you.
The Dow is down 200. Crude oil's up 11. Back to $111. I guess that little deal really wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour wrapping up this Thursday. Remember, tomorrow we get the government job data. See how that affects the markets. We have less than 100 now of those BU Morgan dollars. We had 147. God, we had 1,000 of them yesterday. We had 147 this morning. We got less than 100. They're $77. You can buy one. You can buy 10. You can buy whatever's left. $77 a piece. And I don't know how, but they're telling me we still have all 12 of the Mint State 63 Saints. That's just dumb. These things are priced to move 48.25, less than ungraded $20 St. Gaudens and Liberties this morning. But I only got 12 of them, and those are here. I have those live in my office. If you want to, if you're in Phoenix and want to pick those up today, I have the Morgan dollars. They will be in early part of next week at 800-951-0592. And again, just think about what Barclays said. Hey, get it, great. Yeah, the war, and when's it going to be over, not be over? Hey, guys, let me tell you what's really happening outside of the war. We have a liquidity problem in the debt market. The United States has a problem with the fact that the debt is growing so fast, well outpacing how the banks are growing. There's no money in the reverse repo facility. So there's no liquidity from banks. The Fed is going to be forced to continually, and they use the word continually intervene in the Treasury. What does that mean? Provide liquidity, make money up out of thin air and blow up their balance sheet. Gold is going to roar. You know, the 200-day moving average for gold, by the way, what was it, Jason? We looked it up yesterday, didn't we? Was it $4,300?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a, you know, when we look at it, right, that's really maybe, right, hey, that's something where gold holds that 42.17. 42.17 is the 200-day moving average for gold. That's probably, right, one of those things where, is that about as low as gold's going to go? Maybe, right? It's one of those things you look at as a chartist. This is a huge opportunity. Like I said, 3 weeks. So let's just say May. If May we're done with focusing on Iran, you're going to see a big gold and silver rally for the rest of 2026 because we're going to lower rates. We're going to have to intervene, right? We're going to have quantitative easing. And, well, my guess is stimulus checks to help people pay for the inflation, Jason.
Or you call them tax returns as well.
Yeah. 800-951-0592.